All right, here we go. Welcome into the show. You're watching the San Francisco 49ers Report. My name is Chase Sr. As always, no matter where you are or how you're tuned in, thank you so much for making today's show a part of your day. A lot to get into here on the program. Coming up for this segment, I'm going to list out my 10 favorite Dream Niners free agent targets, players who I would love for the San Francisco 49ers to go after and look at hard in NFL free agency. Before we get to that, we're in the thick of the offseason. Super Bowl 60 is in the rear view. We were just at Super Bowl Radio Row at the Moscone Center in San Francisco. And so looking ahead, no time to take a break here, man. Business is booming across the NFL and here at Chat Sports. The NFL Combine starts on February 23rd. We'll be in Indianapolis providing coverage here on the Niners, right here on the 49ers Report. NFL free agency right after that, starting on March 9th. The NFL Draft is in Pittsburgh this year. That runs from April 23rd to the 25th. And then after the draft, minicamp, OTAs, a little bit of a break, then training camp. I have you covered every step of the way, so don't forget to lock us in and hit that sub button. Dream free agent target number one for me for the Niners, Ravens center Tyler Linderbaum. And let me ask you this, Niner fans, because I hope that Jed York, Kyle Shanahan, and John Lynch are disgusted by this photo. 1 million people showed up for the Seattle Seahawks Super Bowl parade. Does this bother you, Niner fans? Don't you want to see some parade floats in downtown San Francisco? And I guarantee you this, more than 1 million people would show up because the Niners haven't won a Super Bowl since 1994, plus the fan base is better. How about this? At the Niners' own house, on the field at Levi's Stadium, Mike McDonald handing the Super Bowl championship trophy, the Lombardi, to his quarterback in Sam Darnold. Does this trigger you, faithful? Well, if the Niners want to compete with the Seattle Seahawks in 2026 and beyond, because they're not going anywhere, they need to improve their offensive line play. San Francisco is not good enough, not strong enough, not talented enough, not vicious enough in the trenches. And that's along the offensive line and the defensive line. Whereas Seattle, they've built up their teams inside out, and they are stout in the trenches. I talked about this with four-time Super Bowl champion Bill Romanowski last week. He won 2 rings with Joe Montana, 2 rings for John Elway. He's one of the best linebackers in the history of football. I didn't even need to ask him about this. He just started talking about it because he knows when he watched the Niners go up against Seattle that the Niners need to improve their offensive line.
When it comes to the Seahawks, they were just too physically dominating for them to really do anything. You know, the previous game, before the blowout game, it was a close score, but they physically got beat up in that football game. Yeah. And the score, I think, should have been the same as it wasn't. They were still in the game till the end, which was great to see. But now they have, they have something that they have to get ready for next year. They have to get ready. They have to be able to compete against the Rams, and they got to compete against now a potential Super Bowl champ.
Yep. Got to get better up front.
They got to get better in the trenches.
Yep.
And if they don't, they're gonna drop in the division.
I agree. Center and left guard are huge needs for the Niners going into this offseason.
Well said by Romo. And look, I know that Kyle Shanahan loves Jake Brendel. It's not good enough to be the center for this team that has Super Bowl aspirations and a team that should go all in this offseason. So bye-bye Jake Brendel. Bye-bye Spencer Burford. Brendel's going into the final year of his contract. If you cut him, you can actually save some money on the cap and let Burford walk. He'll get paid elsewhere. What you got to do, sign Tyler Linderbaum away from the Baltimore Ravens. He would upgrade your offensive line. He's a good scheme fit. He can get this run game back to being what it had been under Kyle Shanahan's watch for the first several years of his coaching career. But over the last couple, the running game just hasn't been as good. Linderbaum, this past year, overall PFF grade, 79.4. Pass blocking grade, 63.5. He can get some work there. Run blocking grade, though, 83.2. Played his college football at Iowa. He has a mean streak to his game, and the Niners need to get meaner and more physical on both sides of the rock. Dream free agent target number 2, Colts wide receiver Alec Pierce. We'll see if the Colts put the franchise tag on him, but all offseason, what have we been talking about here on the show? The Niners as an offense need to rebuild the wide receiver room, number 1, but they need to get more athletic. They need to get faster. They need to get leaner. They need to get more explosive. They need players on offense who can actually threaten the defense down the field and pop the lid off that defensive unit. That's what Alec Pierce does. I liked him coming out of Cincinnati, had some good moments early in his career. Last 2 seasons, though, he's really started to find his stride, and this is a player who's still young in his mid-20s and with better quarterback play because a lot of his QBs have either been bad or injured. I think that he can really pop off. He's led the NFL in average yards per catch each of the last 2 years. He's big, physical, and he has 4.4 speed. If the Niners cannot bring in Alec Pierce because he goes somewhere else, he's too expensive, or the Colts levy their leverage and they put the franchise tag on him, Romeo Doubs of the Green Bay Packers, I think is a really good option. 4.47 speed in the pre-draft process coming out of Nevada. He's 6'2". He's a very good route runner. He has flourished under Matt LaFleur, so he's a solid scheme fit for Kyle Shanahan. I think that Brock Purdy can bring the best out of him. He's been surrounded by a lot of talented players. That's why his numbers have never gone crazy. He's gone over 700 yards just once, and that was this past year. But in this offense, I think that he, too, could take off. Speaking of taking off, Rashid Shaheed is one of the most electrifying players in the National Football League. I said this when the NFL trade deadline came around. It was my favorite acquisition for any team. And the move that John Schneider made to bring in Shaheed was a very smart one because the Seahawks used him as a returner, taking back kicks and punts. Divisional round, 95 yards to the crib against the Niners. That big comeback against the Rams in December, Thursday Night Football, it started because Shaheed brought a punt back to the crib. And then you can also use him as a gadget guy on the offensive side of the ball. But here's the thing where he could really benefit San Francisco. This is a player who can get vertical in a blink and threaten a defense like the Seahawks. Now, he wasn't used a ton in the receiving game for Seattle, but it was a very balanced offense for the Seahawks. He only had 15 catches for $188, but with New Orleans, you look at his numbers and what he's capable of here and the average yards per catch. There's a long sample size of Shaheed being able to generate splash and explosive plays. 2022, 17.4 yards per catch. 2023, 15.6. 2024, 17.5. And in the last 4 years, 2 drops. So he's a very sure-handed wide receiver as well, and the Niners don't have anybody close to having that type of game-breaking speed. 2 other wide receiver options who I also don't think would break the bank, and I don't think that Doubs, Pierce, or Shaheed will be that expensive. We'll see what the wide receiver market is because it has been robust in years prior. It's a thinner wide receiver free agency class, but the draft class is exceptional. So we'll see what these wide receivers get paid. But I also like Wan'Dale Robinson. He's an explosive player. And then Jalen Naylor, who played very well under Kevin O'Connell. Kevin O'Connell from that Sean McVay tree. And it all links back to Kyle Shanahan. Then there's Kyle Pitts. George Kittle is really trying to get back for week 1. And it looks like that Niners-Rams game in Melbourne, Australia. Aussie, oi, 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 is going to be in week 1. It's going to be at the Melbourne Cricket Grounds. There are 100,000 seats at that venue in downtown Melbourne. I've been there a couple times for a few cricket matches. George Kittle is really going to want to play in that game. If he does, that's great. If he doesn't, are you just going to rely on Jake Tonches, who's a restricted free agent? Here's the thing about Kyle Pitts. Still young, is just scratching the surface of what he can be, has had to deal with a lack of continuity at offensive coordinator and at quarterback throughout his Falcons career. If he comes to a place like the Niners, one of the most legendary franchises in all of sports, with this quarterback in Brock Purdy, this coach in Kyle Shanahan, I think that Kyle Pitts, who's actually more of a dynamic wide receiver, can really take his career to the next level. And he can really excel in this Niners offense. He cannot block and isn't really a willing blocker, but as a weapon, if you want to get faster, more explosive, and more athletic on offense, Kyle Pitts allows you to do that. Coming off a really good year in 2025, he actually came alive with Kirk Cousins as the quarterback compared to Michael Penix. What do Cousins and Purdy do? They throw with really good timing, touch, accuracy, and anticipation. 88 catches, 928 yards. Finally living up to his pre-draft value when he was one of my favorite players in the draft coming out of Florida. Number 5, Trey Hendrickson, pass rusher. And this is a player who the Niners have shown a lot of interest in. They looked at him after Nick Bosa got hurt. That's according to a multitude of reports. And if the Niners can get Trey Hendrickson, an older player coming off an injury-plagued season on a short-term deal, given how vast the pass rusher market is, and you can get a player of this caliber at like $20, $25 million, that would be a dream. His season in 2025 cut short because of that core muscle injury. Only played 7 games, had 4 sacks, 8 quarterback hits after that contract dispute. But in 2024, 2023, 17.5 sacks in each of those years. No player in the NFL had more. Team captain, high character guy, great motor. He would fit seamlessly into this Niners locker room. We have 5 more players to get to here. Who is your dream 49ers free agent target? I want you to share your thoughts with me down in the comment section right now. Who is a player you absolutely love for the Niners? Let me know down below. Today's San Francisco 49ers report is made possible thanks to our friends at Harry's. It's been a game changer for me using the Harry's razors. Did your old razor dull too fast? Did it irritate your neck? I used to deal with those problems. Did they cost way too much? I mean, $30 for 8 refills? Total scam. When I started first using Harry's Plus, it was a close, clean, smooth shave, and it's also helped my bank account a lot. Harry's Plus has an advanced pivoting system to reach every corner of your face, refined blade technology for a closer, smoother shave, and a weighted metal handle. Harry's heaviest handle ever for added control and comfort. With Harry's Plus, you get a barbershop quality shave with German-engineered blades. Each blade is honed at 3 different angles to cut hair cleanly at the root without tugging. That's big. Blade spacing is optimized to glide smoothly and avoid clogging. Drugstore blades, they always clog so fast and they're so expensive. Every cartridge includes a lubricating strip with aloe and vitamin E to calm your skin while you shave. Harry's also owns their own world-class blade factory in Germany. No outsourcing, no middleman. That same facility has been perfecting blade making for over 100 years. Why pay $30 for refills when Harry's gives you better blades for a fraction of that cost? So for a limited time, our listeners can get the Harry's Plus trial set, for only $10 at harrys.com/chat. This set includes the all-new Harry's Plus razor, 1 refined 5-blade cartridge, a 2-ounce foaming shave gel, and a travel cover to protect your blades on the go. Again, harrys.com/chat to claim this offer. After you make your purchase, let them know that Chase Senior, the 49ers Report, and Chat Sports sent you. Final 5 players who are my dream free agent targets for the Niners. John Franklin-Meyers. Did you watch that Broncos defense this past year? Talanoa Hufanga and Dre Greenlaw played a big role in that defense being arguably the best unit in the NFL, if not the best, maybe the second best behind the Seattle Seahawks. John Franklin-Meyers is also a player who can get after the quarterback from defensive tackle and defensive end. Does that sound familiar? The Niners love these types of versatile players up front. And San Francisco is coming off a 2025 in which they were dead last in the NFL in sacks. If you can't get pressure on the quarterback, and that quarterback has all day to sit back and throw, especially when you're playing in a division against Matthew Stafford and Sam Darnold, they're going to carve you up. It's unfair to ask your secondary to hold up that long. John Franklin-Meyers also had familiarity with Robert Saleh playing with the New York Jets. So he does have scheme familiarity with what the Niners are going to do with that 4-3 front. And I imagine Raheem Morris is going to stick with that wide 9. 7.5 sacks in 2025 for JFM. 7 sacks in 2024, and then he progressed and developed nicely under Robert Saleh's watch with the Jets. David Onyemata is a defensive tackle formerly of the Atlanta Falcons who could follow Raheem Morris to the Niners. And Raheem Morris, I think, is going to take what he's done in the past, what he knows from his prior years and prior experiences, and blend that with what the Niners like to do on the defensive side of the ball. The stock is a little bit down on David Onyemata. He was kind of out of the rotation compared to prior years with Atlanta. And so I don't think that he's going to be all too expensive coming off a year in which he had 63 tackles, 7 TFLs, a sack, 2 quarterback hits, and 21 pressures. But he is a player who I think could get maximized by Chris Kocurek and Raheem Morris in this Niners defensive scheme. 2024, 3 sacks. 2023, he had 4. 2022, he had 5. A consistent player who's not a star, but a player who could impact this Niners defensive front. Tyriq Woolen checking in here for my dream free agent targets list. This is a player who Seattle Seahawks fans absolutely love. When I was at Super Bowl opening night 2 Mondays ago, I was seeing how Seahawks fans reacted to Tyriq Woolen. My guy Will Ortner is doing a great job for our Seahawks channel, just crushing it with that coverage, and he's also the host of our Oregon Ducks football channel. He really wants Seattle to bring back Tyriq Woolen. Very interesting player. He had a great year 1, kind of tailed off, and then had a really good 2025. He's lengthy. He has 4.3 speed. I know the Seahawks play a lot more man than what the Niners run, but with that length, being able to stick his arms and hands in there to break up footballs, I think that he could actually play very well in this Niners scheme. You put him opposite of Deommodore Lenoir, or you put Deommodore Lenoir alongside Upton Stout in the slot, and Tyriq Woolen is a playmaking corner. Double-digit pass breakups every year of his career. I know he got flamed a little bit for that personal foul against the Rams in the NFC Championship game. He got beat by Puka Nacua, but the best corners get beat from time to time. An affordable player at safety who I really like for the Niners is CJ Gardner-Johnson. He's had issues sticking with teams, was with the Saints, got traded to the Eagles. Eagles let him go. He signed with the Lions. He went back to the Eagles. Then he went to the Texans, got let go by Houston, and then he latched on with the Chicago Bears. He is a player, though, who wins a lot, who holds people accountable, who's definitely vocal, who plays the game with passion and swagger. And I just think the Niners need some cold-blooded assassins and killers on their entire roster, especially on defense, though. And they need a playmaking ball hawk on that back end. And because he's had some character issues, I don't think he's going to cost a ton, but I think that he can fit well in this Niners locker room. Ben Johnson, when the Bears picked him up off the scrap heap, absolutely loved CJ Gardner-Johnson, and he played really well. Mostly played in the slot for Dennis Allen, who was his defensive coordinator when CD Deuce was with New Orleans, but with Philadelphia, primarily played safety and played at a very high level. With Chicago, 3 sacks, 4 PBUs, and 2 interceptions in 10 games. And clearly, he's familiar with the DeMeco Ryans scheme, so there's scheme continuity there as well. Allowed a completion rate when targeted of 69.2%. He'll give up some big plays from time to time. He'll miss on some tackles. But if you put him on that back end, making plays on the ball, and then you bring Malik Mustafa downhill around the line of scrimmage, I think it maximizes both players here. And then if you want to continue to take away from the Seahawks' talent, you want to address that safety spot, how about Coby Bryant? Coby Bryant had a really good 2025 for Mike McDonald, allowed a completion rate of 65%, 2 touchdowns given up in coverage, 223 yards surrendered for the season, 7 PBUs and 4 picks, though, at that safety spot, a quarterback rating when targeted of 78.4, and he, too, is a young player. So a lot of these players here are younger in their mid-20s for the most part, and I try to target players, not all of them, of course, but some who aren't going to break the bank for San Francisco. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for daily and year-round coverage of the Niners. I really appreciate your support, and our offseason coverage is only getting started.